Hey folks, behind me is the entire line of Bootstrap Farmer trays, pots, accessories, everything that can go into a 1020. I know it's a little overwhelming to decide on what you're going to do, and so a company like ours that are servicing so many different types of growers, think about microgreen growers, market farmers, homesteaders, flower farmers, home gardeners, urban farmers, and hydroponic and aquaponic folks. And so a lot of times people will call into customer service and they want us to help them decide on where to start. And that's why we're shooting this video. Let's get into it.
I'm Kari with customer service, and we get a lot of phone calls asking, where do I start? First question is going to be, what are you growing? Are you growing vegetables? Are you flower starting? Or are you on microgreens? So if you're doing any seed starting, you're going to start with our foundational 1020 deep trays. If you're going more into microgreens, you're going to go with our shallow trays.
Let's assume that you're not currently going to be growing microgreens and you're calling us because you want to start market farming and you want to do a lot of seed starts, flower starts, vegetables, anything like that. The cell trays will fit in there and allow you to do mass plantings anywhere from 32 cells, this is a 50 cell, all the way up to a 200 cell and everything in between. So depending on your crop and the size of your market and the size of your production area, will help you decide which cell trays to pick.
And if you're just going for home or homesteading, you might want to start with the smaller 2.5 inch cups or our 6 cells.
The reason these trays do not have holes is if most of you are going to be doing any type of bottom watering situation, that this is going to hold the water that in turn is going to come up through the trays into the soil or into your media and take care of your seeds. So the second tray that you might come into contact with is the 1020 deep with holes, which again allows you to place this inside of that 1020 no hole to allow that water to come up into the media and in turn into the plant. Another option that you might consider is the mesh bottom. And this is for if you're doing something like wheatgrass or fodder for chickens or other livestock, larger seeds like you could get to some microgreens here, or a lot of people get these specifically to do soil blocks into and to move these in and move these out and do all of your bottom watering in one tray. Once they're in there, you don't have to move it around and you don't have to worry about this tray breaking as you're hardening off. Behind me is a wall of color. Bootstrap Farmer is known for our colored trays. We always have black, and then we always have blue, orange, green, purple, and pink. And in the deep and shallow with and without holes, we also offer white.
If you're growing for larger scale, we've got 2 options for our cell trays. We've got our air pruning trays and then all of these cell trays behind me. This is where a lot of people start getting tripped up, and that's where we're going to help you next.
Like Kari said, a lot of people get confused as to where to even begin to pick what cell size that you have. We have a 32 cell, a 50 cell, 72, 128, and 200. And so the very first question that we would ask is, what do you plan to grow? And if you're going to do a lot of succession planting or a lot of lettuce, like you need to have several dozen or a couple of hundred heads of lettuce every single week, year round, you might want to take a look at the 200 cell because that seed is going to start very small and quickly be transplanted out of here. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you're planting tomatoes, it's a little bit slower to grow. You're likely to up-pot later on, and we're going to cover the up-potting later on in this video, but you might want to give yourself a little bit more room. Anything in between, we have a lot of charts, we have a lot of graphs that will link up down below to help you size things out depending on the crops. There's all kinds of tables, there's all kinds of advice out there, but knowing what you're going to grow and how far you're going to transplant it and how you're going to up-pot it is going to help you decide on what cell tray to pick. Let's start with the 32 cell tray. Now, ideally, everything would fit exactly perfect with everything, but this is like one of the very few exceptions in which there's a little asterisk next to the rule. So yes, this will totally fit inside of a 1020, but if you take a look at where this lies, there's a little gap at the bottom. So we do recommend a shallow tray if you're going to do low volume 32 cell seed starts. As you can see, the 32 exactly fits on the very bottom, making sure that as you lift this corner up to bottom water, it's going to go up through the media and into the plant. Now you can totally put dirt in here or rock wool cubes if you're doing hydro or something like that, but a lot of people prefer to use this to hold the 2.5 ounce cups. And again, This is a weird transition for us in that we're starting to talk about cell trays, but then I'm having you take a back step and really take a look at low volume type of growing. Now, a market gardener can certainly use this for their seed starts, especially with their vining crops or if they're taking seed starts to market. And so this is, again, one of the very few exceptions. I just wanted to start here because it does have the lowest amount of cells. While we're on the subject of cell trays and deep trays, the 72 air prune style trays that we have these slits to help encourage more root growth. They also fit directly into the deep trays. The next thing you're likely to need during your seed starting are these humidity domes. And whether the 72 cell is fitting directly inside of that 1020 deep, they'll fit right on top.
We've already covered using the 32 cell tray with our 2.5-inch cups. And the other options we have for your up potting is going to be your 3.3-inch cup insert or our 5-inch. And the reason we have these inserts is to put the pots in to secure them, keep them from toppling over, whether it's carrying them around to your farm, taking them out for hardening off, or transporting them to market. And you can see how they secure them and keep them in place, just like that. Now let's go over our lineup of our pots and small inserts. If you're interested in potting up, check out the link above for our up potting video. But for now, we're gonna go through the fits and how they all fit into the 1020.
The 2.5-inch pot we have in black, blue, orange, green, purple, pink, and for educational, homeschool, that kind of thing, a clear pot so you can see root development. 32 of these will snugly fit inside of that 32 cell, better off in a shallow tray.
Our 3.3-inch pots come in white, pink, purple, green, orange, blue, and black, and 18 will fit into an 18-hole insert in your 1020.
Up next is the 5-inch pot, also available in white, pink, purple, green, blue, black, and orange. And 8 of these will fit inside of the insert in a deep 1020.
Up next is our 6-cell air pruning tray insert. Come in pink, purple, green, orange, blue, black, and clear for educational purposes. And 12 of these inserts will fit into your 1020 tray.
One of my favorite things about the 6 cells is if you fill up a tray with 12 of them that'll exactly fit, that basically gives you the same thing as a 72 cell, either air prune or regular cell tray. But the unique thing about it is, and especially if you get multicolors or different colors, is that instead of 72 of one single plant, you can have 72 of all these different plants, more than likely in a 6-pack. So you could do 6 lettuces, 6 kale, 6 onion, 6 tomato, etc. So if you have a truly small volume garden and you don't want to plant a whole lot of anything, is you could have your herb packs, you could have your veggie packs, you could have your vine crops, you could have your flowers, all without having to decide which is what because you can color code it.
And if you're interested in up potting, you can go from your 6-cell up to your 4-cell, which is also available in pink, purple, green, orange, blue, and black. One issue we get a lot of times over the phones with customers is they've gotten 2 1010s and it doesn't quite fit into their 1020. There's a little bit of an overhang, a little bit of a gap. All that is lining up your grooves the opposite direction of your 1020, and then they will both fit in there. This is because for your 1010 with holes, it needs to be able to fit into your 1010 without holes if you're using that configuration. And your 1010 no hole is not going to fit into your 1020 no hole. And the reasoning for that is sometimes you need a 1010 to fit into your 1010 no hole so that those two can nest and fit in. Your 1010 no hole is never going to fit into your 1020 no hole because there's no reason to put a no hole in a no hole, but you do need to put a with hole into your no hole.
Up next on your list of options is 5x5 deeps. This is perfect for trialing out different crops, for small fodder, cat grass, any type of microgreens that maybe need a little bit more soil depth. And 8 of these fit into 120.
For microgreens, why would you use a deep rather than a shallow?
Basically, personal preference. Some people may want a little bit of extra soil depth. Different seeds require different depths. Also, that the bigger the seed, more than likely you'll need more area for that root mass to come down, especially in a chef situation where they're not going to want to deal with all that root mass. So different seeds, not everything is created equal. We also have a whole nother line of shallow trays that we're going to cover as we get to the shallow trays. And finally, to wrap up the 1010 and the 5x5 lineup. We do have humidity domes. This is great for taking to the market, for making your deliveries, protecting the crop, germinating the crop, has several uses. And of course, they will all fit inside of the 1020 with the domes on. These domes also fit on the shallow 1010s and 5x5s.
And last in our 1020 deep lineup is our net pot inserts. We've got 18 and 36 that our net pots sit directly into. These are great for cut and come again herbs, hydroponics, maybe any kind of experimental specialty crops that you're working with, and they just go right in.
So we just went through the entire lineup of the deep trays. Now, if you're a microgreen farmer or if you have a personal preference for the shallow trays, we're going to talk about that lineup next.
Now on our 1020 shallow microgreen trays, you've got your no hole, with hole, and mesh. These will both mesh and with hole fit directly into your no hole. You've got a little notch here that kind of helps you just to lift it up so that you can get your bottom water done.
Again, we have the 5x5s in shallow to fit a shallow tray. Makes sense. 8 of these will fit in the tray just like 8 deeps would fit in a deep tray. So if you take a look at these 8 5x5 shallow trays, this is a perfect example of taking something to a chef. Hey, we can grow you these 8 varieties. Maybe you're taking it to the farmer's market as a sample box, or this is what an individual may buy. Or if you're a home gardener, maybe you don't want a whole tray of something, but you want to have a little bit of everything to supplement your meal program at the house. This is a perfect option for you so you don't have to grow so much at one time. Now, if we wanted to dial that down even further and you just needed a very small sample size for a chef, for the market, or something small, low volume for just the house, maybe an individual or a couple, we just want to grow a little bit of microgreens. I've heard some people even taking this on vacation. We do have a 5x5 with no holes so you can bottom water the 5x5 with holes. And in case you need to take it to a chef, the humidity dome acts as a nice little presentation box for either a small crop or a taller crop if need be. We've spent the whole day talking about what fits and what tray and how modular everything is. That extends beyond the trays to things like the automated grow rack. So if you take a look, you can see that there's 4 trays per flood table. This is a 5-tier rack. 4 times 5 is 20. If you had a 4-tier rack, 4 times 4, 16. 3-tier rack, 4 times 3, 12. So depending on what all you need to grow, you could choose the rack or build a rack on your own. 4 trays are going to fit on a standard rolling rack like most everybody has. This modular concept extends past the grow rack, past harvest, and into the cleaning of the trays. So as a tray manufacturer, it makes sense that we would service the needs of our bigger growers that has grown with us over the years. Here's the Bootstrap Farmer Tray Washer for those growers already at scale that need to wash 100 or 1,000 trays a week. And of course, this is fit for our trays. We make the trays, it would make sense that we would make a washer that fits our trays, right? And so this will accept a 1010 shallow, a 1020 shallow, and even a 1020 deep. So we just really wanted to hammer home that if you're just planting your very first seed, or if you're already at scale and already doing huge volumes, that we have you covered. No matter if you're picking a deep tray, a shallow tray, some of the pots, or anything in between, or even something like this washer or the automated grow rack, or you're taking your seeds and you're putting it inside of one of our high tunnels or one of our outdoor structures, we have you covered. We have customer service that has been doing this for a long time and backed by a collective of people that do this for a living. We all love it. We all want to take care of you. So please subscribe to the channel. We have a lot of videos coming out. We have a lot of videos already out there that cover some of these topics a little bit more in depth, but this is a great example of how everything kind of fits together and how one tray can really service the needs of every farmer.
Another reason to subscribe and make sure you like us across all social medias is so that you can catch on to when we do limited edition runs. We do different colors, such as collaborations with people like Whispering Willow and Pepper Geeks. So make sure you like, subscribe, and follow us everywhere.